I'm a referral social media person. This day and age, you get your phone and you're just swiping. So you've got to do something a little bit different. You can't just post, I sold this house today. That does not work anymore. Or this house is pretty. You got to kind of make it where people stop and look and read. And so that's kind of what I do. I try to do that in most every post. I'm a big believer in being the digital mayor of town. Give. And that's kind of what I do to set myself apart from the crowd a little bit as far as with my videos.
Ready? Ready to rock and roll? Is that action? All right. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely. Go. Go.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Will with
Go.
This is a real estate podcast, but we talk about leadership, personal growth, and becoming the best version of yourself. Leadership, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Growth, best version of yourself.
Go.
So this is a real estate podcast.
All right. Amy Cotney,
Happy Friday.
welcome to the Impact Agent Podcast. It's a big Friday for you. Is it great to be an Auburn Tiger, Amy?
Today. Sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes it's not. It's really hard because we can't ever win a game normally. It's down to the last, 10 seconds, almost every single game. So
I know. Last weekend was really exciting, though.
It was.
Now, am I correct if I say that you generate about 80% of your business from social media? Is that a fair assessment?
For sure.
Okay.
Sure. Absolutely.
And what I want to do in this interview is obviously I want to promote Social Impact, which you're going to be speaking at on 10/3 and here in Daphne, Alabama. But I think 80% of your business being generated through social media just makes you like a prime candidate to speak on the topic at any event. So let's take it from the top and just talk about like how you got started with social media, because we know, you and I both know, there's probably a bunch of people in your office that think you're crazy.
Well, in the town.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like,
even though you generate 80% of your business, and it's a big business from social media, other realtors, people in town, they're like, man, this woman is nuts. But were you always this gung-ho for social media, or did it take some time for you to kind of break into it and feel comfortable?
Let's start back at 2010. I had a business where I made game day apparel, and I started selling that through Etsy shop, but also I started like Facebook. I would post pictures of my skirts and stuff on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I figured out in 2010 the power of social media. So when I started real estate in 2016, that was my familiar territory, is social media. So yeah, when I first started in 2016 with my real estate, everybody thought I was slap ass crazy around here.
But were you putting yourself out there in 2010, like personally? Like, were you in front of the camera or behind the camera?
Oh, in front.
How did the transition go? So right, pretty much from the get-go, you're out in front.
Absolutely. And back in 2010, video wasn't, our phones weren't as good. So I didn't do video, always pictures usually, but out in front of the camera in all my pictures. Yeah.
Wow.
And I kind of marketed the same as I do my real estate. Like it was, even though you're buying a completely different product, you can still have fun with it. And you can still be knowledgeable with your videos, but have a little bit of fun as well.
That's a key word, I think, that we'll probably come back to a lot during this interview, or that when I think of marketing and Amy, it's about fun. You're out there having fun, enjoying what you do. You're not stuck in the office or worrying about where your next piece of business is going to come from. You're out there being proactive and having fun.
Correct. Well, I've also learned too that people, and especially this day and age, you get your phone and you're just swiping. So you've got to do something a little bit different. You can't just post, I sold this house today. That does not work anymore. Or this house is pretty. You got to kind of make it where people stop and look and read. And so that's kind of what I do. I try to do that in most every post.
Is there a formula for that? I mean, let's say I'm a real estate agent listening to this, or I'm a small business owner in any field, and I'm listening to this and I'm going, I'm just not creative. I mean, I've checked out Amy's social profiles and there's no way I can do what she does. Is there some action steps, some advice you can give people on how you come up with these ideas?
Well, I think that I'm a big Gary Vee fan. You know how I am with him.
Yes.
I love him. So I'm a big believer in, how give. So I am a big believer in being the digital mayor of the town, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you can get so much action from that. People freak out that they don't have enough content or that they can't be exciting on Facebook or get the attention. That's not true at all. You just got to go out in the community, your community, and show people what's going on. And it's easy. I will say this, and you're in an area too that's easy. People love Auburn. So for me, it's very easy to go out and show, hey, there's a Raptor show today. That creates interest. And that's kind of what I do to set myself apart from the crowd a little bit as far as with my videos. It can't be all about you, is basically what I have learned.
And it's not all about video. You still do a lot of just still shots, but they're different. It's just not a basic shot. It's you doing something kind of funny.
Yeah. Funny, informative, storytelling. I'm big into that, but I do have a journalism background, so it's a little bit easier for me to write down things. But I spend a lot of time in my head marketing. Like, marketing is one of my passions. So there's so much out there that you can do that doesn't have to be all about, I sold this, look at me type of thing.
So if you're going into one of your listings and you're wanting to do a marketing like a selfie, or you're wanting to do a quick little marketing video, what do you look for in a property specifically to try to set it apart?
I pick out my most favorite part of that property, whether it's you don't usually see me going through an entire house because guess what? We live in an ADD world,
right?
And nobody wants to look at you walking through an entire house. So I will pick out, like this week, I have a listing that's got a freaking awesome bathroom. So I just picked out the bathroom and I did a video in the bathroom. So that's kind of what I do. I just hone in, niche it, and do what I feel like is what people are interested in and what gets like my most favorite spot of that house. That's kind of what I do.
That's the advice that I give, because I cringe when I see agents walking through a house with their camera. It's shaky, the lighting's off, the sound sucks, and it's just too long and just too boring.
Well, even when I do a listing, when I put a listing up, I always will do a promo video before the listing hits, but it's never of the inside of the house. Mm-hmm. So it's outside of the house only, and it usually involves a drone. It usually has a story in it. Like, it's usually the owner's kids might be playing in the front of the yard, throwing a ball. I try to make it a lifestyle where people can picture themselves living there in the yard. And we don't go on the inside of the house because there's just so much stuff and it's boring. So I try to do that the day before the listing goes out with a video. I'm not usually in the video. It's usually somebody else that I've either begged to be in the video or the owners of the video. Owners of the house. So that's kind of another little thing that I do that sets me apart from everybody else. Does it cost me money? Yes. But is it worth it? Yes.
Well, let's talk about that really quick, how this kind of shakes out, because you did mention you are spending money. You're not necessarily buying leads, though, are you? You don't have a big Zillow budget.
No, I don't. I'm a referral social media person.
So I would imagine that, because right now there's a lot of chatter in the industry about how much realtors are spending on leads, how many leads are generated, yet the number of real estate transactions per year, like the last several years, has not increased over like 5 million. So right. There's millions and millions and millions. It's like $100 million industry, but yet it's not increasing the number of sales. So I would imagine, that your budget is far less than a typical agent that's dumping money into all these different lead sources.
I'll go to Coach Burt, a third. But yeah. I put back money for marketing differently than what other people probably use for marketing. Like, I am very lucky. Again, I live in Auburn. I can pull from the college as far as like, there's a whole school now that just focuses on videography school. It's in the communications department at Auburn. So, and my son also does videos, but he's fired me, so he doesn't do my videos anymore. But so now
paying off or what?
I got fired. I bought all this equipment to start off with, but I got fired. He's on to bigger and better things.
Right.
So, but I have a college kid that meets me out, and I pay him, and either per video, however we decide, or like a monthly little thing. And he does all my stuff for me. And guess what? He's so nice, and he doesn't talk back to me, and he's not like my son at all. So it works out really good. But that's an awesome part about being in college town is I have that resource to pull from. That's where I spend my marketing money. Other people might do Zillow. I am one that's out there like touching people in the community. That's kind of my forte. I also spend marketing money on other little things like pop buys going around to customers as well. Mm-hmm. Little things that I do. You
mentioned Coach Bird. The last time I saw him, he brought up this concept of return on objective versus return on investment. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it from, I know we're picking on Zillow, but it's just the easiest one.
We can pick on Zillow.
You buy a Zillow lead. It's fairly easy to track your return on your investment. All right, so I spent $5,000 this month. I closed this month. The math is pretty straightforward. It's really hard to do that on the social media side.
It is.
But here's the big difference I think that people should understand is that return on your investment is much more singular in nature than the return on objective, because the objective of what you're trying to do, you mentioned the social mayor of your town, mm-hmm. but a public figure, a local celebrity, top of mind awareness, that's the objective that you're going for. And I feel like collaterally or ripple effect, it's much more beneficial to make that investment. It's much more long-term versus short-term.
It is. It absolutely is. Person of interest is kind of the goal with that. Is a lot more work than paying Zillow to have leads call in a different way, though, because as Zillow leads can be quite a big pain in the butt. So, I mean, it's an everyday, your social media is out of control too, like mine. We're always out there doing something. It's a lot of work. It's thinking all the time about, what are you going to do next? Like what's tomorrow? What's going on with that? So I'm always in marketing mode. I mean, whether it's out, doing stories for my Instagram or whatever, it's always, and I want to be known. Like, for an example, I was standing on the corner, fully dressed, not working the corner or anything like that. On Toomer's Corner, and some lady comes by and goes, "Hey, are you Sweet Home Auburn AL?" That's my Instagram account. And I said, yes, I am. And of course, my husband's over there rolling his eyes. But she goes, "I follow you. I'm from Birmingham, and when I move to Auburn, I'm going to buy a house from you." So that is right there is my goal. I mean, that's in one thing she nailed it. Like, and so for me, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's all the ripple effect that you get from being out there like that. And yeah, you put yourself out there all the time, but it's worth it. It is worth it. And it's fun. I've met so many awesome people where if I was just doing Zillow leads and stuff like that, I don't think I would have met through my podcast, through everything else, through all my little different channels of video and all that. It's been a very cool ride the past couple of years.
Well, and it's the nature of our industry now with social. I mean, it's the public figure nature or aspect of our industry is much more of a bigger piece of the puzzle. I tell agents on my team, new agents that I, kind of mentor, that you got to think of yourself like a politician. I mean, you got to be out there,
sure.
shaking hands, kissing babies. Do you promote a lot of businesses as well?
Oh, I just did one last night. I stayed out past my bedtime. My bedtime is 9. We have a new a bar in town called the Southeastern. So I did a business spotlight with them. And I do it a little bit different. This is where I do hire a videographer to come in. And it's kind of like where they can use it. It's kind of like a little gift from me where they can use it to promote their business as well. And we sit down and my videographer does a lot of B-roll of last night it was the bar. I do a lot of stores. I do people that yoga studios, whatever it is that interests, what I think interests the people. And it's kind of like my gift. Here you go. You can use this as your promotional piece as well for your social media.
So you give them all the B-roll, all the footage, or just one component?
We do the whole complete video. It looks great. It's a professional video done, music and everything. And then they share it and hopefully they get business.
Are you in that video?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in that video interviewing. So I call it a business spotlight.
So you're elevating the brand of the business at the same time you're elevating your business.
Yes, exactly. They share it and I share it, and then it works both. I mean, it's, makes that perfect little circle. It works back, and everybody sees me, and it's called sharing. Sharing is caring, Jason. Sharing.
Yes, it is. And you hear people say this, that it's, that social media is a 24-hour networking event or a cocktail party, but it really, really is. And I feel like a lot of folks are missing the boat when it comes to the engagement.
Yep.
So I see agents do Facebook Live videos, no comments in the comment section.
Right.
It's just, they expect everybody to sit down and watch the video and learn what they're talking about. But we know that a lot of people aren't going to watch it. So what you have in the text could be very, very important.
Yep.
Or it could be what draws them in, the hook that gets them to watch the video. I see agents sharing content from other folks and not saying why they shared it.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of all, I see agents hearting or liking posts, but not saying why they're hearting or liking it. And
right.
They're just missing the boat. Huge.
They are missing the boat. My other big thing, and it takes a lot of time, is usually I really like to comment too. And I think that, it's about being social, and it's about commenting and being there for other people as well. So I usually will take time in the morning or afternoon. People think I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I don't, but I do. Right when I wake up, I'm going to get on there and see what's going on and comment and stuff. And that's about creating relationships with other people, telling them happy birthday, anything, being a positive light on that. But I think back to what you said, agents are just sharing things. That's a check in their box. Okay, I did my social media for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think that's what they're doing. They've been told you need to post. Well, or hiring people to post for them too. That does not work. Here's a picture. Would you like to live in this house? That those days are gone. And that's one of the kind of reasons why with my personality, I'm a little bit lucky because I can put myself out there and I'm not as scared to do it as the other people. And I am being me, the authentic me, which is scary sometimes for people. But they always will tell me, "Oh, Amy, I can't be like it." You don't be like me. You don't know, everybody's different, but you can make it entertaining. And I feel like with this day and age, with the ADD world, you have to kind of do things a little bit different than just posting a picture of a house.
Well, yeah, and I feel like, people like you that are so outgoing and have such big personalities, they can intimidate people. Other agents can go, it's just this game. It's this game of comparison. They're comparing themselves to you and go, I can never be Amy, so I'm just not going to try.
Right.
And that's a disaster.
Yeah.
But I think what they need to understand, this would be a big point for us to make to the audience today, no matter what industry you're in, not everybody's going to like you. So stop trying to appeal to everyone. So Amy's going to turn off about 50% of the people that watch her stuff. She's going to turn on the other 50. Mm-hmm. And you're out of that 50% that loves you, there's so much business.
That's right. Right.
Like attracts like. You need to do business with people you like. The people you're chasing for 15 months to try to get them to buy or sell something, they don't want to do business with you anyway. So, go with the people that are attracted to you and you're attracted to them. And people are going to be attracted to different things. Some people are going to be attracted to like really dry humor, just all kind of things, zany stuff, crazy stuff, outlandish stuff. So, there's lots of different types of people, and you just got to not try to appeal to all of them.
There's no way you can appeal to it. And if you do, it's not going to be your authentic self, and it's not going to help anybody. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. But I think the thing that people struggle with is that, if we're really peeling back the layers here and getting real and raw, maybe, and I'm just, pontificating here, but maybe, they're thinking, well, maybe there's somebody close to me that's going to criticize me. And I don't want to go there with somebody that I like, and I don't want to find out that they don't really like me. I don't know psychologically what's going on here, but I feel like it's the people, they're not worried about people they don't necessarily know that are going to talk about them, but I'm sure there's some people that are. But I think they're more worried about the people they do know getting criticism from them. I had an agent in my office once. I was trying to convince him for months to do a Facebook Live video. He finally agrees. And then he went home and he got chastised by his wife. His wife was like, never, ever do another one of those again. And he came back to the office the next day and told me the story with a tail between his legs. And I just felt so bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my thought was like, listen, man, golly, you've got to be around positive people. And if you're getting that from your spouse, it's a bad thing. But you mentioned your husband rolling his eyes. Is he just like, don't give Amy a bigger head?
No, I had the most supportive husband. Thank the Lord, because he lets me do and be me all the time. But he's like, oh, here we go. Because he will be in Home Depot, and my dogs are in my videos a lot with me. And somebody at Home Depot will stop him and go, oh, hey, Eli, hey, Brett. And he's like, he's like, why do these people know because he does not do, my husband is not on Facebook at all. So he has no idea what I'm doing on there, which is kind of good. But he is a lot on Instagram. And so, but it's funny that people will stop him and they know my dog's name. Again, we live in a small town, so it's a little bit easier and different for me like that. But that's where he gets a little bit freaked out. It's just weird. I said, it's fine.
Well, he's got a pretty unique look. I mean, so like,
he does.
So he's got a very recognizable. He stands out just by the way he looks.
He's a twin, so there's two of them.
Oh my gosh! So now his brother's getting it too. It's like, oh my god.
His brother's like probably like, no, I am not married to that crazy lady. I gotta know. Well, and he's a great sport. He does like, he's got that. He's got I use him for a lot of my stuff too because he's very likable and he rolls along with the punches really well. So no, he's so supportive, and I do think that's really important when you are putting yourself out there with Facebook Live, Instagram, and as much as I do on social media. He's really good with that and a good sport. I'm like, I need you to be in this video with me. So he's good with that.
I think, if a person like that agent could maybe sit down and show, if their spouse is not supportive, show them like the results that like an Amy Cotney is getting, or somebody, there's got to be somebody in their market or in their office that's massively successful with them and say, hey, just hang in there with me for a little bit. I'm going to get the hang of this. There's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a little bit better. But just to recap, we've touched on a couple big things here. Time. I love that you mentioned that because a lot of agents that I talk to are like, it's just too much time. They think Amy's on there all the time and that it's just too time consuming. So they're out. They're always looking for a reason to go, I'm out. So time is one thing you mentioned. You said a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening, rest of the day you're doing other stuff.
We have to.
Money. Yeah. You mentioned money. Yeah. So, you don't have to spend money right out of the gate. I'm sure this was an evolutionary process with you. Mm-hmm. You didn't just start throwing money at Facebook right out of the gate.
Nope.
So there's so many things you can do to generate. I know so many agents that generate business from doing consistent Facebook Live videos, and those are completely free. But you can lead with revenue. It's really cool right now where you can hire drone photographers and videographers and do kind of high level stuff. But you still do plenty of stuff, I would imagine, that's just you and your phone.
Every day. I do a lot of stories. Instagram is really wanting you to push the stories a lot. Start getting rid of the likes and stuff on Instagram. So I have been pushing I love stories anyway. It's easy, so easy with real estate to do that. I will go up on Toomer's Corner and stop people and go, hey, what brings you to Auburn? Why you like Auburn today? I mean, if you don't have content, you can do all kinds of stuff for free, and that will get people's attention and that kind of stuff. That people are interested in that. So I try to make it very entertaining so people will not just go, like, I don't want to be like on, Tinder where everybody, swipe right. I try to get them to stop and check it out. And I try to pepper fun in there too, but I will stop and give knowledge along the way in some way or another. Talking
to strangers on video, the time, money, and fear. I mean, we've kind of grazed over fear, but let's dive deep into that for a second, because I think that's just like nails on a chalkboard. Somebody thinks, I got to talk to a stranger. I got to talk to a stranger on video. I know when I'm encouraging agents to go do video at a coffee shop or a bar or a restaurant, and to do it when there's actually customers in there and life is happening in there, the thought of that is just like, they're like, no way. That's like the worst thing I could ever think about doing. But how can we help people break through this fear barrier? Because there is such a rewarding business and life that comes from this. Do you have any advice for people to be like, just, kind of screw it and do it?
That's a good question. Because I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but I will. My podcast, I have another Amy that does my podcast with me. So we call it Between Two Amy's. She's like, we're going to go what? We're going to go and interview people on tumor? No. I'm like, oh, yes, we are. And so I just don't give people the opportunity to say no. I just said, okay, you're on video. Here we go. But I feel like once you do it a couple times, it's so much easier. And you learn that, there's always going to be people younger, prettier, hotter, better shape. I'm talking about men, women, or but it's not even about that. It's about like you being you and like showing your personality out there and you just can't. I feel like people are so judgmental on themselves, and that's one reason why they're scared to dive into Facebook Live. It's like, my hair doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. You can't do that. And actually, I will tell you the honest truth. My stuff that gets the most feedback is when I am just like, it is not planned at all, and I'm just out there on a whim doing something. That's what people like the most. It doesn't have to be a big production. It doesn't have to be the over-the-top drone video. It doesn't have to be any of that. It can just be a normal you being you, like running around in a closet on a caravan. I do that. I sing in a shower in a caravan. People love that. So that's just me being me. But you've got to dive in and not really judge yourself so hard. That's where people are dying right there. They're their own worst enemies because they judge themselves so hard.
I got two things out of that. One of which I think is really, really important. And I'm sure that the other Amy is going to benefit from it. She's benefiting from it. She doesn't even know it, but she's getting comfortable.
Yeah.
She's getting comfortable with, and just, so having a partner, like, don't try to do it alone.
That's right.
Even if you're just interviewing, it's you and a business owner, it's you and a mortgage broker, it's, you and a home inspector, whoever, having somebody else in the video with you, and you're just kind of focus on each other and just try to forget the cameras there. But she'll probably eventually start doing things on her own if she's not already. And it's because you made her do it. Like you held her accountable and really didn't give her a choice and pulled her into your video. So that was number one that I heard. Number two is, don't make it too premeditated.
Yeah, for sure.
If you just run, if you get a thought in your mind, just run with it, because, if you're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, because the principle there is like perfection. I've just got to get it so perfectly choreographed and scripted. But what I heard you say is that the most unplanned, unscripted videos get the most engagement.
Yep, they sure do. Absolutely, without a doubt.
A lot of nuggets in there for people to kind of chew on. Where do you do most of your business? Are you generating it from your personal page? Do you have a bunch of different pages on Facebook, a business page, community page? Can you break that down for us a little bit?
I do. So I have my real estate page, Amy Barton, realtor at Toll and Realty, Amy Barton Cotney. And then I do everything. I do one post. My rule of thumb is one post a day on that one. And I either post, people say don't worry about the time. I think that's bull. I think you should worry about the time you post every day. I either post really early in the morning while people are like, I've figured out the habits of people are usually they get up and they look at their Facebook over their coffee, or I do it usually 6:30 to 7 o'clock at night. In the middle of the day, we're all out doing our own little thing. So that's my two times that I will post. And I post one time a day on my real estate one. I have a great, very good following on that. Very engaged community with my real estate Facebook page. I usually try, and every now and then I'll just share something over to my personal one, but I really try to keep everything business on that one and then my personal stuff on another one. I don't want to bore people with the same stuff going back and forth. Instagram, I always do different posts on Instagram than I do Facebook every single day. Amy, does that take a lot more work? Yes, it does. But again, the markets are completely different for me on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is very local. Instagram is people. I have sold 3 houses in Auburn from people hashtagging realtor in Auburn and finding me on Instagram. 3 houses. I don't spend any money on Instagram right now, 0. So do you know how much in commission that is? I don't even know how much that is. It's that's California people. So that's not even other people that have found me off of Instagram. So Instagram is huge for me too, but I do a different type of post because it's a little bit more, I've got people all over the country following me on Instagram. So they wouldn't know War Eagle if it came up and bit them on the butt, So I try to keep them a little bit different. Every now and then I'll cross it over a little bit if I think I should. I really try to do that separately. And then I do a lot of stories on Instagram. And then my LinkedIn, I've gotten where I start at least 3 or 4 times a week on LinkedIn. And I do a different post usually 90% of the time on LinkedIn because that's a completely other different audience too.
Right.
So those are my 3 big ones. I mean, I do Pinterest some only because when I pull up my name, my Pinterest stuff comes up. So I feel like I do keep that up and running. I don't do Twitter, but I do think that with Twitter, my name, if I Google my name, Twitter accounts comes up. My Twitter account comes up. So every now and then, but that one is not my specialty. My specialty is definitely Facebook and Instagram for sure.
Well, and I heard something, generating 3 California buyers from Instagram.
Yeah, in a year. That's a lot for a little old tiny Auburn. We're not that big.
Yeah, and I went to a mastermind not too long ago. I think it was January of this year, and there was a guy speaking who has this kind of knack where he takes these national headlines and he tries to bring them down locally to his market. So he's in Las Vegas. So it's a little bit, he's tapping into this California exodus. So about 30% of their market is coming in from California. They're trying to escape the high property taxes and everything else that's going on there, just the overpopulation. But I think 3 of them, so I look at that on a smaller scale for you, but 3 of them in a recent time frame, there's a little story there. We could do like this California exodus, but it'd be interesting to figure out why those people moved to Auburn. Was it job related? Is it a similar industry? So my point here for people that are listening is like, look for themes, and that might be a good little story to do something.
My other thing too on Instagram is people don't hashtag right. So when you're hashtagging on Instagram, that's how people find you on Instagram. Facebook, a totally different ball game, but Instagram, like, don't hashtag. Get niche with it is what I would say. And so when I do one, I'll do real estate in Auburn. So, I mean, you got to get into people's heads. If somebody's out there looking for somebody, are they going to put in, War Eagle if they don't even know what War Eagle means? Or
right.
No, they're not. They're going to put in Auburn, Alabama, or realtor in Auburn, Alabama, or they're not going to put in my name because they don't know my name. They're going to put in things that maybe will help them, houses in Auburn, things like that. So that's kind of where I really, do the hashtags that I try to get in people's heads about how they search to find a realtor. That's what I do on Instagram.
Now, when you pick up a client from Instagram, are they sending you a private message?
Mm-hmm.
That's typically how the conversation starts.
Mm-hmm. My first one ever. They're like, "Well, I'm moving to Auburn." I'm like, "Auburn, Washington? Auburn, Alabama?" You're in Napa. Why would you want to move to here? I don't know. I love Auburn, but I love Napa a lot.
Right.
So, we have the university. So my 3 from you asked what's bringing them here. Auburn University, and then the other 2. One was a hospital job, and then one was a manufacturing job. So those are the 3 things that I brought the people. And the funny thing is, you're right about the exodus. They love living in Auburn now. Love it because, it's green. It's less expensive. They're getting a lot bigger house than what they got in California. But that says, I just think the power of a lot of things that you can do that don't cost any money that can make you money, that you just got to spend time thinking about in your head.
What about getting personal on social? Do you draw the line somewhere? Do you ever share something that's going on with you that's maybe not, sunny and 70?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I keep it. That's so hard because there's so much negativity on like Facebook and stuff. But if you do it in a certain way where you're a little bit more vulnerable with your crowd, your tribe, I always let them in. I redo a lot of homes. And so for me, I let them in my home, which, and show them pictures of what we're doing. But as far as like we're in real estate, we deal with a bunch of stuff all day long. So
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
And those crazy people can bring you down. And so, I'm not happy Amy all the time, for sure. And if I'm having a down day, I will use that in a post, but I'll try to bring it around where we all have, it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time type of thing. That's what I try to do. Not like a woe is me type of thing.
Yeah. So just let them know that you're just not happy Amy all the time.
Yeah, there's no way. My real friends know that I'm in the bed by 8:00, and and then I'll go back to Coach Burt. We go to bed tired, and we wait every single day because my mind is always going, and I'm always doing something to try to create business. I think too. That's another thing I do. I'm a constant and that's all social media driven, or I do a lot of notes to people. I started doing this most random thing ever, and I don't even know how I have a weird mind, Jason, a weird mind. Lee County in general this year has had a really rough year. We've lost a lot of people this year, tornadoes, car wrecks, and everything else. So I was like, I'm going to start unicorning people. Okay, I know that sounds weird. So I bought these huge unicorns off of Amazon, and at 4:00 in the morning, I will go and put these unicorns in people's yards, and attached with a little note saying with little glitter in the note. I'm sure they love cleanup on that, but and saying something positive to them with my sign, the Rogue Realtor, attached to it. And your sparkle is not gone unnoticed. I do that. So what does that do for me? That was in a marketing investment, $100 for these 3 unicorns, and my time, 4:00 in the morning. So when they wake up in the morning, I've researched, I can tell who's having a bad day by Facebook, the lovely power of social media. And so I will go and do that. And then that alone right there, what do you think they're going to do? Bing, take a picture. Oh, my realtor or Amy Barton Cotney unicorn me. Isn't that the best thing ever? We love her. And so that's kind of, yes, it puts a smile on people's face, but it also gets you out there in a different way. Does that make sense? Jason's like, what?
Freaking fascinating. No, I love it and I want to break it down because that brings me back to Sarah Kalke's talk at the Impact Agent University Conference. She said in her talk that she uses social media as it's a way for her to get ideas of random acts of kindness.
Yes.
And she's like, well, if somebody's having, so you mentioned loss of life or people get sick or tragedy happens, the typical human response is to connect with them or contact them and go, hey, I'm so sorry. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Yeah.
So she uses Facebook as kind of like a way to stay in touch with, I'm looking for the right phrase here, but she's not stalking people, but she's stalking opportunities for random acts of kindness, I guess is the way to put it. So she will just take action. She'll put a casserole on their front porch. So again, this unicorn with glitter thing, that's so you, but somebody might be like, that's not me. Well, you might be into cooking. You might make an amazing lasagna. Go put that on their front porch with a card saying, I figured this could help you out. Something to that effect.
Yeah. And most people will go prayer, the prayer hand when somebody says something bad on it, they'll say prayers up. My husband calls it prayers up. I try to take that to I'll try and go and do something nice for that person. And it doesn't again, I'm a unicorn person. So, but it can be as little as it doesn't have to be big money either. That is so much better money spent than a Zillow lead. So much fun. It's so much. It's time and effort and coming up with the idea and doing your little research on it, but so much more. $5 of something is so much more than a Zillow lead. That's a huge thing for me that I like to do.
Well, I think this brings us to another really key important point that act, this unicorn activity, is prospecting.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair assessment to say that you aren't traditionally a big phone prospector.
Nope. Guess
okay. So, like I'm working on the schedule right now for my coaching clients where we're time blocking for prospecting. But one of the keys is to make the distinction that you're not necessarily phone prospecting. Like I want my clients phone prospecting in the morning. My ideal world is 2 hours in the morning. And then if they're not out with appointments in the afternoon, then they could be doing some other level of prospecting. But I have like a lead generation, big internet lead generation component to my business. And this whole theme of this podcast is like, hey, Amy generates 80% of her business from social media.
Mm-hmm.
But these activities that you're doing, you're out and about in the community prospecting. I'm sure sometimes it's 4:00 in the morning, but I don't know, a neighbor may stop you and go, gosh, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I will, while I'm out there doing this, I'll go, I'm out here in the middle of 4:00 in the morning. I'm doing a unicorn, and people, and I do that on my stories. And then people, the amount of DMs I get from that, like, I love this. I love that. So for me, it's like, it brings me joy. And that's one of the other big, huge things. And I like doing things that bring me joy as well. And it's a different way of prospecting. Eric White, Eric White, Coach Burn? I told him one time, I can't do phone call. And he's like, Amy, you don't have to do it that way. That's when I started my podcast too, because that's a different way of putting yourself out there and prospecting as well. And that takes time. But my podcast every week that we do is probably my most favorite hour spent because of the people I get to meet. And, this day and age, it's so, we're all just like this on our phones or whatever. And to be able to sit down and have a good conversation with somebody for an hour or even 30 minutes is such a blessing. And my podcast has given me more than I could ever I love it. I love it so much. So that's another way of prospecting, though, because people see me in a different light with that.
Well, I did a podcast with a gentleman by the name of Rocky Garza. I did it. I think it drops next week. I think there's going to be a lot of people that get a lot of good takeaways from that podcast episode. But one of the things he said that was like so simple yet so powerful is he said that we get, no matter what industry you're in, you get paid to participate, especially like if you're in sales. But like if you're a teacher, you get paid to participate. If you're a real estate agent, you get paid to participate. And I feel like I see it in agents that I coach. They're so focused on the end result. They just want, it's all about what they're going to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's far less of the participation. But even in even that, if you getting real and raw again, peeling back the layers, these things that you're doing, the podcasting, the unicorning stuff, promoting local businesses, stopping and talking to people on the street, I think they look at it and go, that's not somebody that's going to buy today. And there's no direct business I'm going to get from that. So to hell with it.
Right.
And they're missing out on the people you get to meet, the relationships you make with the podcasting, the stuff you're doing with the unicorns is fun and fulfilling. It brings you joy. But when you're just making it about me, it's just such a shallow way to go through life.
It is. Early on, and my goal in my head, and I don't know where I heard this from. I love Brian Buffini too. So one of his things is plant corn. So that's my goal every single day. I throw those seeds out. It's podcasts, it's unicorning, it's Instagram stories, it's going into this Raptor show this afternoon and doing that. I'm planting seeds, and that's kind of how you have to look at it, not what this is going to do for you. It's bringing value to people, like the things that they don't know about. Do they know about the Raptor show? I don't know. It's bringing value of what the community's doing, what the market's doing, but in a different way. And so that's what I do. I plant seeds every single day.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think this has been huge. A great deal of value for everybody that's listening. Any parting thoughts?
War Eagle. And let's see what goes on. No, I'm so looking forward to October the 3rd. And I can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for allowing me to be there.
Yeah, I would love it if you had some action items around your talk, because it is a mastermind. We are going to give people an opportunity to think, collaborate, share ideas, and really come up with, I want them leaving this event with some steps, like a game plan, and not just leaving it all charged up and ready to take action, but then fizzling out because they have no idea where to start. So I want to help be their guide on where to start at this event. So if you can come up with some good stuff in that regard, I think it'll be very well received. How do you want people to contact you? You kind of roughly went over your social media.
I'm Sweet Home Auburn AL. And you asked me too. I have 2 different, I have 3 or 4 different Instagram accounts, but my business one is Sweet Home Auburn AL. And then I have a personal one, Amy Barton C. And that one is where I post like my kid stuff on there, because they will kill me if I'm putting them all over. So boys, their 20s don't like their mom all the time posting about them. So I have those 2 different ones, but I'm easy to find, Amy Barton C. And then my real estate one is Amy Barton Cotney, realtor at Tolan Realty.
What about website?
SweetHomeAuburnAL.com.
Amy Cotney, thanks so much for taking this time out of your busy day. Go enjoy the game day eve in Auburn, Alabama.
Are you coming in today?
I'll be there like 10:30 or 11 o'clock tonight.
All right. Get ready for a whole different scene as what you have been used to.
I know. It's still very, very quiet last weekend. So I think we're going to get the full experience, and we're going to Tiger Walk in the morning, and the kids are all.
I love Tiger Walk.
And then in the kind of, the vein of this podcast, my daughter wants to do a Facebook Live. We've started this like JWRE News series, and she's got the fake microphone thing. So she wants to do a live JWRE News broadcast from Tiger Walk tomorrow.
You should totally do that. I will tell you this, one little helpful hint from Auburn is when that many people get into our lovely little community, a lot of times you cannot get out on a cell phone. So you might have to, you can't text, you might not have enough juice to go live.
Right.
I will find that happen to me on Tumors on a given Friday, where it's like all blurry because of that. So that's a problem that Auburn is working through because of all the people on their cell phones.
So we may just have to shoot video and not go live.
Yes, that's another, so the Tiger Walk is definitely one of my favorite things to do. Maybe I will see you guys down there. And I do have one more question for you.
Yeah.
You jumped off Chimney Rock last week.
I did not.
Jason, I'm so just golly.
The only thing I got to figure out is my wife can't drive the boat.
Yeah.
So she's just not comfortable doing it. And I can't remember, because when I was in Auburn, we went out there a few times and jumped, and I can't remember whether we anchored or whether somebody just stayed on the boat the whole time and kind of kept it in place or moved it around. But
that's what you have to do because it's so deep like that right there. You can't anchor.
Yeah. There. So, somebody next to us really cool had this inflatable, sturdy raft that had chairs on it, and they must have had a 200-foot rope or something because they anchored and they were having the best time. But the kids were really disappointed they didn't jump off, but Diana's just not comfortable.
Well, I don't blame her. It's quite, I don't usually drive the boat either. I try not to. So
if I can go out there with you one time, I will definitely jump.
Absolutely. We'll make a date, do that. And in the meantime, maybe I'll see you this weekend.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. If you're looking to buy real estate in Auburn, get in touch with Amy. There's not a better professional, more fun person to work with, so she'll be an advocate and highly entertaining.
Thank you, Jason. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Impact Agent Podcast. If you liked the show and got something out of it, please like the Impact Agent Podcast on Facebook and rate and review the show on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. This really helps us grow the show and helps other agents find it. Please share it with your friends and coworkers as well. You want us to deliver the show to you via email every week? Then email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com and we'll send you the show every week. Please let us know what you think about the show, what you like, what you don't, or possibly make a suggestion about a topic you want to hear. Email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com or leave us a message on Facebook at Impact Agent Podcast. Until next week, everybody be productive, safe, and happy, and always keep learning. This podcast is produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios in Mobile, Alabama, and is paid for and powered by ImpactAgentUniversity.com.